I'm sitting with Tinashe Madamombe right here in our studio, and she's doing fantastic stuff. She's a gender specialist. Yes, a gender specialist. And I remember asking her, what is a gender specialist? Anyways, we have Tinashe Madamombe. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Doing very well, thanks. And thank you for having me.
Good to have you on the show.
Yes.
Now, gender specialist. What is this all about?
So when we speak about gender, we're speaking about both
male
men
and female.
and women.
Yeah.
Yes, so male and female. I really do specialize with women and girls, but this is in an aim to make them equal to men in terms of opportunities, in economic spheres, in just our cultural spheres, socially, and anything else.
Yeah.
So that's what gender really is about.
Okay. Why that direction? Why did you choose that area of speciality?
So I'm one of those lost children that took a long time to find their passion.
Right.
I went around in circles.
Okay.
But in all that, I then also had to sit down and really think, what's my passion?
Okay.
And I know a lot of people speak about the ikigai. So thinking about what is that I love to do, that if I wake up every morning and have to do it, I don't feel like I'm going to work.
Yeah.
And I do have that special part of me that really enjoys fighting for women and girls.
Oh, excellent. So you saying fighting for women and girls, you have an organization that you started.
Yes.
What is this organization called?
So the organization is called the Dorcas Project.
Okay.
The Dorcas Project works especially with vulnerable girls, young women, and orphaned children.
Okay, vulnerable girls, young women, and orphaned children.
Yes.
Why Dorcas?
So Dorcas is my mom's name.
Right.
And also biblically, the
yes.
meaning of the name. But because growing up, my mom is the one that took me through the journey of especially working with orphaned girls and children. I remember when we were younger, every other weekend we had my sisters from an orphanage that would come to our house.
Wow.
And then also on holidays.
Wow.
So now that they've grown and then we are also grown, I kept having that. It also made me
desire,
that desire to continue to help, and also understanding the plight of children that are in orphanages is where that passion came from.
And that's a great heart of compassion. I love how your mother kind of set that as a seed in you and you're continuing with it. It's brilliant. And, you know, especially look in this day and age, there's a lot of young girls having children, a lot of women who don't even know what to do. Now, you are especially in the area of Hopley.
Yes.
Tell us about how you chose that specific location, or do you have any other locations that you are working with?
So far it's just Hopley. I've been, miraculously thrown to Hopley a lot of times.
Okay.
So dating back to about 2018, where I worked with a children's home that was in Hopley. And this also gave us a chance to interact with the community in itself. But further to that, early this year, we identified some young women who are teen moms, young moms as well, that were struggling with just navigating, going back into society and trying to find how they can fend for their children because they've had children quite early. So I partnered with a fashion designer who I've worked with in the past. I also have a passion for fashion as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So we partnered, and she was taking them through the training of how they can create garments, designing and cutting and sewing. And I was sourcing the material and donations, so also getting donations for the children in terms of clothing and groceries for them. But
go on.
yes, now this year, starting this September, we then partnered with the Zimbabwean German Society, who have given us a small fund that we can buy a machine and more material.
Right.
And we're working with another batch of young women. So with these young women, what we're taking them through, just with the cutting and designing, they're also going to create garments that speak to the challenges that they're facing in society and how they've overcome them, being teen moms.
Right. Now listen, this is a huge, before I wanted to cut you there, but it's a huge kind of beast, if I may call it. And just you mentioning that you have now the German Society, my question to you was going to be, do you have any help from big companies, or are you seeking more? Because, you know, Hopley is just Hopley. There's also Mbare, there's also Gweru, there's Bulawayo, there's, you know, where you are taking your vision and helping these young ladies. How are you, what's your POA from this moment on?
So yes, we are seeking funding. I think mainly because as much as we can teach them this skill, but they also need the resources.
Okay.
So it becomes very challenging and difficult when we take on young girls and just teach them how to sew, but we don't give them material and a machine to take off after that. So they're still going to need to raise funds by themselves. So we do need the support, and it's been such a lightening the burden for us, getting such a big institution like German Society to come on board for this. But the hope is that we can grow it, and not just around Hopefully to get more women, young women and young moms that can get on the program, but also to other areas. Like you said, Mbare has young mothers. We've also worked with some in Lomboshawa with a partner organization that we've just been getting donations that we then send to them. But there's more that needs to be done and more that we can do. But
I think you'll be fully capacitated to do this work because, listen, not everybody wakes up and says, hey, I want to help people who can't afford to help themselves.
Yes.
So I know you're probably mainly, I don't know if it's your main focus just on cutting and designing. Do you teach them other skills, marketing or whatever it is? What other skills are on your portfolio?
So we do teach them, especially with this 8-week program that we're going through with them. We also have a digital literacy training that we're going to take them through. So giving them just a background of computers and their phones. So also in this world that we're living in, most of them do have smartphones.
Yes.
So we're taking them through just the basics of how do you present yourself on social media, and when you do have something that you need to sell, how do you market it there? And taking them through basic designing for if it's posters or anything that they need to be advertising for their business that we hope they will take off after this. We're also taking them through a financial literacy training as well, where we're just doing the basics of, because it's not about having $200 at the end of the month that you need to budget for, but even just that $5 that you might get from selling your tomatoes outside your house in Hopefully, that we need them to know how do they budget it, how do they use it, just from the basics. So financial literacy and digital literacy as well.
Excellent. So you know, most of the young women that you may face are traumatized from their situations. I mean, I was a very young mom, but I wanted to be a young mom, but I faced so many challenges. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't sign up for this. So you have people who have trauma. Do you have any kind of platform for counseling for these young girls, and what are some of the things that they are going through?
Yes, so we do have support, but this is on an on-call basis. We've hoped that with this journey of the fashion designing, they can actually come up, because sometimes you're going through trauma, but you don't know how to name it. And it's so difficult because maybe you're depressed. It may be postnatal depression, because some of them have just had children, and you don't know what it is. How do you name it? So when they start describing these stories and we're documenting them, then we can also recognize that this is the particular problem, or this is where you can get assistance.
Excellent.
So that is what we'll be taking them to.
Excellent. You know, tonight we're running out of time, but where do we find you on social media?
So on social media, you can follow us on Twitter and X, Instagram and Facebook. That's Stitching Futures. So Stitching _ Futures on Instagram. And you can also follow the Dorcas Project on LinkedIn and Facebook.
That's excellent. And I do know, if you know, sponsors out there, we Stitching _ Futures. That's on X and other platforms. And then we have the Dorcas Project. The Dorcas Project. Please, let's get in touch. Let's help this drive for preserving the young girls' rights and right to live and be a great mom as well. Thank you so much for joining us on this show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure too.
Konapo. Ipapo pa ZTN Prime. DSTV channel 294. The place to be.